Yeah, you did a lot of interview today, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's good, man. It's good to talk to you again. You're the only Canadian. Everyone else was German.
But we have so much in common with Germany, not because of our culture, but the mentality of, I don't know, German are really aware of what's happening in the scene, and they're into punk rock and pop and everything. You went there,
Oh
they're
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
they're really open mind people. So I'm not surprised that most of the interview was with German.
Well,
You
this was
know,
like this. So like every other Saturday, like last Saturday was America, like American journalists, and this one is international. So I think you're part of the international crew. But again, it's just you and five Germans. So so what's up with you? What's Quebec City like now? Do you have shows at all?
yes, right now the scene, and you went to Quebec many times with Strike Anywhere. You
Right.
never forget about us, and there was a huge love affair with Strike Anywhere, because I remember you guys when you went first to Quebec. It was the start of the band, but we saw you grow, and I must admit, because there's a lot of there's not much punk bands that want to still fight the system, and anti-flag, you guys, there was maybe more in the time, but right now it's kind of weird. Punk rock is not still fighting the system. It's a sad thing in a way. So it's cool to talk to you, because back in the days you were fighting for something that right now we need you. We need a voice for that, and people are pissed. But in Quebec, it's the scene really built itself up, brick by brick over the years, because Montreal, when you started up, you saw that and realized that there was a couple of great bands there, the Planet Smashers, Sub. There was
Yeah.
really cool, but they kind of leave all in the same time. The scene, Planet Smasher was working with Stump, so there was a huge hole in the scene for a couple of years. But right now, it's very wealthy. As you see, many bands tour airs. I mean, like, there's 3 days of shows in Quebec. No fun at all. Satanics for 3 days. Can you
Awesome.
believe that? We're a
When
small city.
are you guys having shows now with the coronavirus, or is it shut down?
Charlie Manuel Picard, from District 7. I think he booked you many times in the past. He worked his ass to bring something else. So we got virtual show started up like maybe 2 months ago. So people around the world can pay for a show that happening live at the Auntie, but there's no crowd. So they're just filming it and broadcasting it. So that's what's happening right now. But there's okay for venues that you can sit. So show are gonna get back in a couple of weeks, but mostly with local band and local artists for now, since the border are still closed.
Wow. Yeah. It's so do you think how are people gonna play like obviously like being next to each other without a mask is not possible, right?
No,
So what are you guys how are the shows gonna happen?
I don't know. At that point, I think it's gonna be you're gonna have to wear a mask inside the place, and it's gonna be maybe 2 or 3 days of the same show with the same artists, so they can do show maybe with 20, 25 persons at the
Interesting.
venue, so you can keep a distance.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was just talking to our booking agent, Margie, who's a good friend. She's booked our shows for all of our lives. And
Yeah,
we were talking
I
about
know.
what you know her, right? So, and we
Yes.
were talking about what we will do, what would be like to play shows again, and how people will stay distant. All of those questions.
It's kind of impossible. Actually, I was talking to Destruction, a German thrash metal band, and they're playing in July in a country that allowed them to play in front of a crowd. So I don't know how much people is going to be there, but I think next month we're going to see a couple of show happening around the world. So I think everybody's going to catch their breath and see what's going to happen. How can you do that? And maybe after that, we figured out something that can work. But yeah, it's kind of weird. You go like wearing like a condom or a bubble, or not.
People just bouncing in bubbles. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we definitely don't feel like we we don't feel like we could do this if it was going to be like a situation where people couldn't be free to move and not be afraid, right, about getting sick. That
I
seems like
think so.
we would want to avoid putting people in that position. Also, we wouldn't be, if you've seen us play, like it's not possible for us to play and not also be in the crowd and be with people, right?
It's you were one of the band that I said, can you have more energy like live? It's impossible. There's no level up after that. You're like 100,
There's
100 level up. Like
it's fun. Oh, hello. Sorry, I have a lot of animals. Yeah, okay. Um, well, yeah, I we feel crazy putting out a record when there's no potential of doing shows that we know of to support the songs. Obviously, we didn't plan this, but there's something about it that's interesting. Like, I definitely miss playing and I miss my bandmates and all that. But it's good to have this new record and new songs all the same because, people have a lot of time now to listen to music, and there's not many other things that we can do. Tell me this: are you still working? Do you still have a job?
yes, I'm working at home, and it was fun. Like maybe the first month, because with the kid, not that it's cool to have the kid home, but it's kind of
Right.
hard to be concentrate and focus, and I didn't plan of working home for a couple of months, so I didn't have my work office or my setup to be like, concentrate and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky because a lot of lost their jobs, and a lot of people gonna still lost their jobs with what happening. So it's sad for and so I try to buy a lot of local stuff right now. Eat local, drink local. I always try to do that, but more now since I was able to work.
Right. Right. Because you want to support, and I mean, it's a strange time. Like everything's really local, and like communities are like people are looking out for neighbors, trying to figure out what people need. I think in some way it's fed into the protests because mutual
Yeah.
aid is in the air. And because we're in a state where we can't trust our federal government to give a shit about us or even believe in facts. And in some ways, it's like the mask is off.
Yeah.
Like all the things we've been talking about, like the functions of society, really just come down to the people, and they always have. And there's been all this culture and propaganda and state institutions, militarized police, everything's been getting in the way of people taking care of each other. And now it's like, I think coronavirus has something to do with the reason why these protests are so large and sustaining for so long, and why everyone's kind of like, oh wow, we know how to do this. We can be a community. We can like drop off water and masks and like, the idea that there's an autonomous zone in Seattle with a medic tent and like all this stuff is really, I don't know. It's inspiring, but yeah, it's terrifying too. Like we're really on the edge of like civilization in some ways, and it's really down to us to have the values and the discipline and love. Because without that, it's just fucking Trump and the militarized police force, and we become a dictatorship, or something worse. Like obviously, like every country's different from itself, from different countries, and America is like fairly unique, like because the mythology of who we think we are versus the reality of who we are and can be are really far apart. Whereas in your country, in Canada, it's actually like you guys don't have the level of propaganda of, Americans are either victims or heroes of every story, you know, and it's pretty, I wouldn't say infantile, but it's like juvenile, it's like adolescent. Like there's a kind of perpetual horny, angry teenager. That's America. Like other countries get to be grown-ups and adults, but America's culture and what we expect from politicians and the way that we talk to each other, it's the horny, angry teenager all the time. Now this is our moment to kind of grow up, maybe.
I get you so much. Like the teenager that didn't like have the chance to have sex and he's doing stupid things with sex, which is after having sex, realize, why did I do stupid thing? I just have to be myself and be honest. It's
Yeah,
always the same fucking. drama. But yeah, in a way, we're it's weird because when I heard people, you're from Canada and you're American. And I've always said, yeah, we're in the same part. We're the same deal as you guys.
Yeah,
We're in the same. The America is big, and Canada is kind of, and we're kind of reflecting what's happening in the U.S. in a way. But the different thing is in Quebec, we're French, and the rest of Canada is English, and we never really like each other, because of many things, and it's
right.
hard to get along. So, maybe our conflicts inside, we never realize what's happening around the world. But for the first time, like you said, I think everybody realized we're in the same fucking shit. Nothing
Yeah,
had happened in the past as work out for us. So what we gonna do? And as you said, I felt really that there's more people. Like the wake, people are really more concerned, and they realize what's happening. It's not back in the days where my parents were like, no, 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 nothing happened. We're living the good life. I'm wealthy, and it's not happening anymore. People are realizing there's something wrong. And, like you said, what's going to happen? It's kind of edgy. Who knows? But it's interesting because, we're going to, our kids going to live maybe in a better world because of that. And like you said, that thing didn't happen for nothing. We,
I
we
think
have to realize a lot of things.
I think like especially because America has been avoiding its growing pains, because of wealth and because of such a high self regard as a country. But now it's like we have to really face our imperfections, our original sins, how dishonest our history has been, like to itself. The way we portray our involvement in the world, again, it's constantly as heroes. It's we have oversimplified it to the point where we're now having crisis after crisis. So I mean, it's just sped up, right? And now it's just time for that kind of reckoning. And what we're seeing, though, like the protests, the discipline, the sense of perspective about it, like these streets, these monuments, all of this is ours. We have to remember that this belongs to the people, and history belongs to the people, and the future belongs to people. And that's what I think this moment is teaching everybody. And people in the right wing who are afraid of it, they have a lot of pathology. Like there's a lot of issues. Like that, a friend of mine was saying that like this is America's daddy issues right now. Like Trump is sort of like the abusive father that no one ever wanted or needed. Like, but for people that do have problems in their lives and they feel victimized, Trump is there to infect them, like with his nonsense. So I guess it's really about the numbers, right? Like how many people who have peeled away from Trump and how many people are staying with him. I guess we'll find out in the election.
And it's gonna happen really fast. And can you believe that, Thomas? People, the hit that right now happening in the U.S. With racism that happening over the years again and again. And what happened to George Floyd? It was a wake up, like for the whole world, because in Quebec we just realized, hey, we're racism too, and it was happening to here many years ago. And
Right.
I was saying that, but we were like kind of hypocrite. Oh, in Quebec, we're no, no, not here. Yeah, here too.
You
With
know, it's
Muslim, with Indian. And in Canada, it was always the problem with Indian. We stole their country. We raped their woman. We throw fires at what they build, like, you know,
yeah, yeah.
years ago, and we put them in kind of camp, like do what you want to do and give us alcohol. They were like killing each other's, doing drugs and everything. We create that situation with people that were there before us. And we're not racism. What the hell?
Right.
There's that thing. I always call them, there's it's like a nuclear bomb. It's happening, and you're pissed, and you're just like, you're afraid, and you're living a lot of emotion. But after the blast, man, it's a hit for everyone, and people are fighting to get their back life. And that's what we have to do: fight for a better life for our kids and everything.
Yeah,
So, I really hope that people this time they're gonna understand. But the reality is we made the same fucking mistake for millions of years ago.
it's true. I do think though that like this was a critical mass. Like this was a moment where there was just too much evidence to ignore, and we're not going back.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I mean, I think of
no,
course the state is going to overreact and do their damage, but we have got it's not just like a small group of already political activists. It is whole communities. It is everybody. Like it is so many people, and it's global now. I think it's almost like some kind of weight of all the people that were hurt, all the people that were brutalized and killed by police, and the fact that we can see it because of this technology, right? Like instant global communication of all these
yeah,
events. It's a weird thing to say, but this wouldn't have happened without the digital age, right?
it's
Like see
true.
everyone having a camera that can record and instantly broadcast whatever they're living through in that moment is a huge part of these times. Like it's going to make us more moral. It's going to make us more truthful. And I know that internet is full of all kinds of nonsense and hatred and deep fakes and shit like that, of course. But
Yeah,
watching videos of police brutality, of refugees, like it's real. It is like, and it's as close as we can be to being next to people all over the planet and seeing their struggle and their pain. So that's something I think about with this. So George Floyd was like the final, I hope, like horrific act of racist police brutality. And it took however many, hundreds, thousands of lives, like for us to really see that like this is enough. Like we are sick of it. And I do think the shelter in place, the pandemic had something to do with it too, because people have more
I think
time
so.
to think and also to kind of realize we're in a community. We're not like in our little bubbles, going to work, going home, going to that bar or this bar, or I like this sports team, I don't like that sports team. Like, no, we can't go to sports, we can't go to bars. We have to just be here with our neighbors and like work out problems.
It's no club anymore. Okay, you're a blue one and I'm a red one, and we eat each
Right.
other. No, we're on the same level. But we need we need somebody to sing about that. We need a revolution right now, and we need the words. So that's why I think it's really interesting that you guys choose that time to release the records. And I know it sucks because you don't see the reaction of the fans. We don't see each other's, and people, I'm sure the fans like can't wait to see you, and it's kind of sad. But in a way, we were in need of that records, and I listened to it, and it made me feel well, like,
Thank you.
okay, I'm
Thanks.
not alone. I'm not alone pissed off that I want to change that fucking system right now. Okay, I'm gonna turn 40, sorry, and I'm old. I'm not 20 anymore, but man, I still want to change things for my kids. And you are always the voice or the words for many people that maybe I don't have the talents or the times to do that. And man, it's a right time and a perfect time for a return for Strike Anywhere. And I mean that.
Thank you, Eric. Merci. I appreciate it. I mean, we needed to do it ourselves. We needed to put out the songs. We didn't really know if anyone remembered us, or it had been a long time. And we did we play shows occasionally, do little tours, but we stopped really touring. We stopped living in the van back in 2012, so that we could have families and kind of like take a breather. But I do feel like it made the songwriting more stronger, at least for us, at least the way we really felt passionate about these 7 songs and wanted to put them out. And I'm just so glad that folks like it and that it can be something that helps people get through these times, right? And not feel alone. That's the whole reason we do it, right? We write these songs so the 5 of us can play together and get through these truths, like because it's punk rock is loud, hardcore and punk are loud, intense music forms, but we speak about things that people don't speak about in public, but they should. We're talking about political injustices, dishonest histories, degraded economies, degraded communities because of capitalism. We talk about all of these things, culture. We also talk about personal things like psychology, grief, depression, how to get through. having a lot of bad days, how to get through losing friends, like all of that stuff that's in Nightmares of the West are stuff that we needed to say as people too. So yeah, man. I mean, we always look at this as like having a continuing conversation. Like each of our records continue to speak to our friends in the audience, to our peers in other bands. The records talk to each other in some kind of weird way. I think, like, anyway, that for us, like, there's that sense of doing this continuing piece of art, right? It's like a 2.5 minute punk song, but really it's like a 21-year journey of writing 60 songs. It's all kind of one thing for us. So anyway, yeah, we love it. We also realized we were playing, touring, going back to Europe, going up to Canada. Went to Australia last summer, which was crazy. We were in Australia a year ago right now. Um, and we were playing the songs and we were like, man, we're still doing this. We should put out some new music. you know, like we were like, yeah, we can do that too. We can write these songs. So we called Brian McTurnan, our friend, our producer and friend at Salad Days, the studio. And we're like, Brian, you're not gonna believe it. And then he said, you have new songs? And we were like, we have new
Oh,
songs. So Brian is actually sings in his band.
so when Brian's aboard, you're in.
Yeah. We knew that we had to do it because he was like, I'm not gonna let you not do this now. So then yeah, that's what happened. So we were in Australia. We finished writing. We went to Mexico City for a festival called Off Limits, and
Yeah.
we were on a rooftop at the place we were staying, looking out at the storm that was coming across the city. We're on our way to play the show with like Bad Cop, Wolf Brigade, Earth Crisis. It was a very diverse bill, right? It was awesome. And we were like on the rooftop and just like looking out at the sunset. And it was obviously a really beautiful place. Like it's actually kind of like times we've had in your city. Like spending a day off in Quebec City was like tour gold. We could just walk around all day, go to cafes, go to friends' houses. But anyway, right then on the rooftop, we were like, okay, we have these songs now. This is real. We're gonna make this happen. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of knew when the songs were written, like this feels like the first song for a documentary, and then we know this is the last song for We Make the Road by Walking. And so like we could feel like the shape of the record at that point and how it was all gonna fit together. And yeah, and then 6 months after that, we were in the studio, and then a year after that, here we are. So once we realized we were gonna do it, it happened, and yeah, we're really honored to do it. We're really excited and glad that people get to hear it and that it can be useful.
It's different from what you did, but it's kind of the line was draw. It really it's the energy, the passion is more intense, and we felt that you guys were having fun. It was not a rush or anything. It was really well built, and from the first song to the last song is just intensity, prime times. And as I mentioned, the lyrics again, which is I always read the lyrics. It's kind of important for me. I'm a huge fan of the Decent and Bad Religions, and when you read the lyrics, you learn words,
Yeah.
and the same. It was like I said, it was the rage that I have on my own, like for the last 3 months about the system, about what's going on around the world, just like spread with music. It was a beautiful moment for me, and I'm sure a lot of people gonna have a really good time listen to the whole thing because you
Thanks.
not skip a song.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, we never know. We never know if we're gonna put out something new, if we're gonna write more songs, record them, if we're gonna play more shows. Like, we don't have any. We're not talking about breaking up necessarily, but we never take it for granted that this thing will happen again. So we kind of approach every show like it could be our last, every record like it could be the last. Um, and I think that's worked for us. Like it's made us feel that we have to give it our all and we have to make this count because there's so much music, right? Like if we don't want to waste people's time with another Strike Anywhere record. Like we want to make it worth the time that it took for you to listen to it. We're keenly aware that we don't do anything particularly different. we just so all we've got is us, like, and our perspective that is unique. And maybe it's not even that unique, but like it is, it just happens to be us doing it. So it's really been good.
You're like a collector item in the punk scene. It's pretty rare they came to your town now. They don't release a lot of records, so rush yourself and go for it. You know, it's a perfect germ, man. It's just it's beautiful. It's like a gem. You know, it's
Thanks.
beautiful, and I appreciate that. That you guys, after all you've been through, it's hard. You know, being in a band. It's a family. There's not much money. You were there when the scene was kind of as is hype and just were fell down in a way
Right,
financially.
right.
Well, big label and everything. So and you stick to it because it was the passion and it was you know, the intentions of changing thing, and you did. And you know, I meet a lot of band on the road, and I do many interview, and Strike Anywhere is a name that a lot of band have mentioned because of what you guys achieved over the years. And you know, you were, like I said, focus. You were doing a thing to change the world, and you were not, you know, about releasing something because somebody wants something to be released without meaning, and that's what changed everything. So in a way, like I said, you're that special, Jim, and people know that, and I think you have a special place in many people's heart.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. It means a lot. We don't want to abuse that. And also, we're definitely kind of stubborn and ornery. Like we're not we're not good at like doing a cycle of anything. And I think it's important that our friends respect our timeline. You know, people will be like, okay, it's back in 2012. They're like, okay, it's been about 2.5 years since Iron Front. Where's the next record? We were like, no. 2016, no. 2018, no. You know, it has to be right. Like we're not going to force anything. And yeah, it's sort of like between me and my bandmates, like there's just this particular territory in the mind that we can get out of each other and make sure it's
Yeah.
honest and real. And my cat's butt is in your face, but yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad you like it. I hope other people do too. I'm excited for people to hear it.
Because there's many bands that are release record they're not proud of because they rush themselves, and I think it's something that Strike Anywhere will never do. And you know, like I said, it can take like 15 years. It's good. It
Thanks.
just, you know, you it's like surfing. You have to feel the wave.
Yeah, you know, both of our guitar players actually are surfers, and they would totally appreciate that. But
I didn't know this, but you know, Thomas, you know, it's weird to ask what's gonna happen with Strike Anywhere. I think you mentioned it, but whatever happened with you guys, I'm sure next year's thing's gonna be way better than it is right now.
man,
Quebec
I
have a
hope so.
special place. You,
Because what? How could it? I mean, there are ways it could get worse, but they would have to be
yeah,
creative. Look, yeah, man, let's toast to next year. Maybe we're all going to be able to be together and play shows, um, for sure. I think it's important that we stay positive and we try and have fun with this, even the craziness that we're in.
yeah, you know, the spirit I have is, you know, if I have to be home and work home and everything, at least I have to do something special every day, like writing or, you know, doing interview or whatever. It just try to make something positive after all of that, saying, oh, I did something at least.
I like that. Yeah, I do that too. I make sure not to go crazy. Sometimes I'll like pick up the guitar and just play something and get lost in it for just a second, right, sweetie? And that's really important because otherwise the days can kind of become like endless. And or like if you take a walk, go in a slightly different direction. Don't do the same. Don't stay on the habit trail.
It's true. I'm always telling people stay out of your comfortable zone. That's where you fucking like get in. You know, you're a robot, and you don't want to be Spinal Tap. For Ben, it's Spinal Tap. You know,
Right.
you don't want to be Spinal Tap.
So we were in Mexico City, like I told you, when we were finishing up writing the songs for that show, and it was like this sports indoor kind of sports arena that had been turned into a venue for a punk and hardcore fest. And they gave us little rooms in the basement to like put our bags, change our clothes, get some food, string up the guitars. And we were all in the room working out songs, talking about the new songs. And we tried the door and it was locked. We were locked in the backstage room. And there was a bunch of other bands around us, right? And they could hear us, and we're like, "Hey, can somebody let us out of this room?" And like we're like knocking on the walls, like
we were inside.
Yeah, and so we were locked inside the room, and then so finally we heard someone on the other side with a drill, and then my guitar players got their tools, right, their guitar tools, and started going at the hinges from the inside of the door, and then at the same time the person on the outside had drilled through the doorknob, and Matt and Mark had lifted the door up, and the whole place was filled, and they were just like clapping, and they handed us drinks and food because we've been stuck in there. It was amazing, and we felt like fools and heroes at the same time.
Your quarantine start there, so
And it was like the most Spinal Tap moment ever too. Because we were like about to go on stage. They couldn't find us. We didn't, it was amazing. None of us know Spanish. So a lot of Lo siento. It was awesome.
It's funny because every band, when you saw the movie, you're in a Spinal Tap moment somewhere if you're on the road or doing more than 2 shows a year.
So true. Yeah, it's great. I love that film. But yeah, man, this art where I live and where like a lot of folks live, there are protests and marches going through the streets like every afternoon, every other afternoon, and music being played and streets being shut down. And so it has made the pandemic every day different, like beautiful. Sometimes we hear gunshots. Sometimes things feel like what's going on. Other times it feels, most of the rest of the time it feels like joyful protest, people speaking, like people setting up sound systems in the middle of the street. Like it's the way human life should be. And I don't think that, like I said before, we can go back. Like I think America is going to have to change for the better during these moments.
It's crazy. Where are you actually?
So I live. So the rest of my band is in Richmond, but I live in Berkeley, California. So I'm near Oakland. Yeah,
Really?
in Berkeley. So that is where I am. But of course, I fly to Richmond to rehearse, see my family, see friends, just hang out with my bandmates, the whole thing. So I'm still very connected to our hometown. I just live out here with my partner, and I'm here now definitely for the pandemic, the shelter. But it's good. And obviously over the years we've come through California a lot. I'm actually less than a mile south from the Gilman Street. Have you heard of that club? Yes. So I'm near that.
Wow, that's cool, and I'm so happy that you're going well right now because it's rough for everyone. Let's face it, but
Yeah,
to just hear you, to see you, man, it's your kind of sunshine, man. It's just felt right, talking to you, and it's just what's gonna happen next. It's not gonna be funny, but I think it's gonna we're gonna be better human being after that. And in the music scene, people, they're gonna be less whiner. Oh, I saw them many times. I
that's
don't
right.
think a lot of gonna.
Like
Yeah,
for the
there's a show tonight.
for the rest of our lives, no one is going to take any of this for granted, right? Like
Yeah,
everything's going to feel like, oh shit, like we can all go out and breathe on each other. It's going to be like we never know when the next if there's another pandemic. You know what I mean? So like when we have a vaccine and it's safe, people are going to lose their minds just hanging out with strangers and breathing on each other. Right, Badbert?
I think you have an expression saying having a sword on your head. That's what's gonna happen. People gonna, okay, I've got a sword on my head, so not taken for granted. And before I leave, Thomas, I always said that the best human being, you can see them by how they treat, animals and how they love animals. And I always knew you're one of the best human being there. But you just show me through the whole hours
Oh
that
yeah.
you are what I
There's
thought.
I don't know, man. I just serve the animals. They're just hanging out now. they're like my
Yeah,
kids.
especially cats. I love animal too. We have a lot of animal here too, and I serve my cats. I feed
Yeah,
them, and it's not my bed; it's their bed actually, because they're the king of the
it's
house.
true. Yeah, man. I love it. They're also good
Speaking
company
of-
in the pandemic.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. But at least you were not alone. You have a partner right now.
Yeah, and a roommate too. So, and our neighbors, we've been able to like hang out in the backyard, like apart, a little bit in the front yard because the weather has been, of course, good because it's summer. Um, Man, summer in Quebec City. I think I spent one of these days off after a show at La Anti with New Mexican Disaster Squad and Engine Down. Do you remember that show at all?
I was there, and I
Oh,
think actually we did an interview, but on phone that time, not at the show, just
hmm,
before a couple weeks before the show, I think.
okay. Is La Anti still there or no?
Yeah, but not at the same place. They take the same name, but they're another place. It was the Agite before that, and it's they did a lot of work there, and it's a really kick-ass place. It's really cool. We have two. We have La Source, La Martinière, and Lanty that are going very well. It's like the Gilman Street actually. There's a show every day, but every type of music. So that's what is really cool because they're not just booking. Okay, we're gonna book punk or metal. No, they're playing like everything, and it's kind of exciting because
Yeah, yeah.
people go there no knowing what's the show.
I think the last club show we played there was at Dagobert.
Yes,
Yes. Was that with the Bouncing Souls, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it was after that.
with
Maybe
the
the
love one, I think the bouncing soul, the love one.
yeah,
Was it because I remember last with Melancholy, but before that, I think you're right. I think it was the last show.
yeah.
I still got flyers from all the show you came. I have to send them to you. I
That's
will take pictures and send them to you. Actually, I have them in the book.
that's so cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Um, Good, man. Well, look, I'm glad you like the record. It's good to do another interview with you. Hopefully, we'll get to play a show next year, see you face to face, do another Canada summer tour. I miss those. It's awesome.
Yes. And like if you can do a whole Quebec tour, like I said, it's happening everywhere in Quebec. The Saguenay is beautiful. Their festival kind of everywhere. So man, Thomas, you're welcome. And if you need anything in Quebec or a place to crash, you're more than welcome. And I can't wait to see you and shake in person. If at that time we can shake in or keep our distance, but just seeing each other is gonna be,
Yeah, yeah.
just more human.
Good. Well,
Well,
look, thank you.
thank you
Thank you
for
for
your
your
time
time.
again.
Good to see you, Aaron. Take care.
At the same time, we have to make a wish. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you.
Take
Have
care.
a great night.
Merci
Bye
beaucoup.
bye.